I want to make a point here.
Okay.
Before we get to my friends at Way to Wellness. If I was the coach and you were on my injury report, I think I would just go questionable. Because I was listening to Kyle Rush on thebarnauburn.com this morning, and he made a point. He says in big games, Q's always play. If you got the Q beside your name, if it's a big game, you're playing. And his philosophy, Kyle's, is Q's always play. And I want you to read me Auburn's injury report.
The Q's?
The Q's. Give me the Q's.
Well, for instance, like before I do that, Florida has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys on their injury report for the state game.
Yeah.
And 10 of the 11 are out. They got one Q.
Yeah, out.
They are out.
Yeah, that's not good if you're trying to save your job.
It is not. For Auburn, Tyler Scott and Brandon Frazier are out.
Yeah.
All right. Scott is showing you the injury report from the SEC website. Marius Williams is doubtful, the defensive lineman. Here are your Q's, Dunaway.
Q's playing big games, Brown.
Tell me if any of these are big.
Okay.
Cam Coleman, Antonio Kite,
Yep.
Alex McPherson, and Tall Miller.
Yeah.
That's your Q's.
Yeah. Q's playing big games.
Like their offensive line without Tall, he went out during that Cal game, and it was brought up by Hugh Freeze. You know, when he was talking about what went wrong, he's like, Tall went out. We tried to put him back in, couldn't do it. Their offensive line hasn't really been – I don't know how good it is with him. Like, I think there's still some development that has to happen with him at offensive front. But without him, it has not been good. So Tall is a big one there, and he's a Q.
Yeah,
you say Q's playing big games. Huh?
I don't. I am taking it. I'm taking it from Kyle at thebarnauburn.com, and I'm going to use that phrase from now on. In big games, Q's play. This feels like a huge game for Auburn.
I agree completely.
Is that? Do you feel that way?
Well, I think
Auburn
it's
and
both
Arkansas,
sides. Yeah, because Pittman's got to worry about his job. And, you know, if you don't win a game like this where they're a 3-point underdog, you've got really the meat of the schedule is coming up. So, yeah, I think it's I mean, I don't want to call it critical. Like, Hugh Freeze has got no chance of losing his job. But it's a big, big game.
And listen, we'll listen to Sam Pittman, and then I'll add to the fact, after we hear about Arkansas and we know Arkansas' situation, I want to paint how big this is for Auburn. But here's Sam Pittman about bringing a team that can look really good like they did against Oklahoma State and lost the game down to Jordan-Hare Stadium to play Auburn this week.
Why do you think it's so difficult sometimes to maybe get up for an opponent maybe that's not have a big name on their chest? I mean, like we look at South Carolina week 1, they struggled against Old Dominion, then they blasted Kentucky, who played well against Georgia last week.
I think usually you play a little bit better when you didn't play well. Hopefully you won the game, you know, and you know, you look at Kentucky, same thing. They were mad. They got focused and played a great game against Georgia. As much as you talk about, these games are about us versus us. I mean, the one Saturday was about us versus us. It's, you know, we had better players. Hopefully we had as good a coaching staff as they did. And I think I heard Kirby say, you know, they were mad. You know, they were embarrassed the week before Kentucky. And that's a little bit how we feel right now going into the Auburn game. So hopefully that's a good thing for us.
So here comes the Mad Hogs down to Auburn. But I'm just going to take this how Kyle Rush was talking about it today on thebarnauburn.com. He says, for Auburn, you've got recruits. Not throwing away this season. It's big for this season, wins and losses. You go from, if you win this game, you still have everything in front of you. You lose this game, and people start wondering, can you get to 6? You know what I'm saying? Can you get to 6 wins in a bowl game if you lose this game? Because Oklahoma and the rest of the schedule's on the horizon. But more importantly, Kyle was talking about this morning, at thebarnauburn.com, was if you lose this game, okay, you've got the recruits who are there watching you, and now you've got those 2 losses after 4 weeks against the 2 brands that you've played. Then you've got the talent that's already been recruited to you. You got to keep them recruited to you. Do you have the momentum to keep those guys fired up about the momentum Hugh Freeze had in the offseason? And then you've got this great star-studded wide receiver core, And Kyle says, man, you lose this game this weekend. Do you not think some of the star players at Auburn's phones start ringing? And he's like, tampering aside.
Not star recruits, but like on-roster
on the
players.
roster.
Yeah.
He goes, you don't think one outside source is reaching to a friend of a big wide receiver at Auburn or a big this at Auburn? Hey, man, 2-2, and the passing game looks
what's
it's
going on
shaky.
here?
If you want a better situation, you tell your boy. He wants a better situation. You tell your son. Or
Watch us Saturday.
Yeah, watch the way we're slinging it around the yard. It becomes that kind of stuff.
I would fear just bigger picture stuff more, and I guess that is part of the bigger picture.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, why? Because some of it is like some of that overlaps how the fans would feel. We talk about how big this game is really for both coaches. Like Sam Pittman can lose his job this year. I don't think Hugh Freeze can.
No, this isn't about coach's hot seat.
It is for Arkansas.
Yeah. But the conversation I'm having about Auburn is...
No.
Okay.
But for Auburn, but for Hugh Freeze, this is going to overlap some fans too. Let's just play a worst-case scenario for this game, right? Let's say Hank Brown comes back to earth a little bit versus the way he looked against New Mexico, and he struggles some. And if I'm an Auburn fan leaving Jordan-Hare Stadium and Hank Brown has struggled in a loss... Boy, the rest of the schedule scares me to death. I don't know if I've got a quarterback.
Flip side, if
that's why I would have played Peyton Thorne last week.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, no, Hank Brown might go out and slay it, and he might win 6-7 straight games as starting quarterback, put up massive numbers. But if Hank struggles this week, and then you have got a guy that doesn't have experience moving forward with this schedule, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Flip it around, though.
Okay.
Now
that is the positive scenario.
Yeah, you go out.
Yep.
You beat an Arkansas team that struggled a little bit to beat UAB, but lost to Oklahoma State, looked good doing that. Now you got a little momentum.
Hank Brown's got a couple passing touchdowns, no interceptions. Right. I feel good about Hank Brown now. Right. Now I'm like, okay, I got more hope now.
That's right.
Than I did coming out of the Cal game.
And then Oklahoma on the horizon, who's going to be coming off a huge either win against Tennessee or possibly a beatdown against Tennessee. This is why this is such a pivotal game for Auburn. It could sling the season into two different directions.
But Lance, I would say if I'm being honest about it as an Auburn fan, I want it to be one or the other. I don't want it to be in between. Like if Hank Brown goes out and he's just middle of the road, and now I wonder what.
He's 24 of 42, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and you lose the game 38-35.
But even if I win the game with those numbers, I'm like, is he still the best option going into the Oklahoma game and then the Georgia game, right?
I think that is going to be the worst or the biggest fear right now for Auburn fans, outside of losing games, is week to week wondering who that quarterback is. Or are we starting the better quarterback?
That's right. Yeah, I won't. If I'm being a fan and I can pick, obviously if I pick, I want Hank Brown to play well and I win if I'm a fan, right? But I want clarity either way. I think you've got to – it is time on the schedule for this quarterback situation to be put to bed. And it could be Hank Brown. If he goes out and slays it, it's going to be Hank Brown. But if he goes out and struggles and in the back of Hugh Freeze's mind, he's like, can I trust Hank against Oklahoma and at Georgia? Now I got problems.
Well, another storyline to watch is, all right, first quarter. What if it's shaky Hank Brown play, and it's not great Hank Brown play?
Oh, I think you could see Peyton Thorne.
You could see Peyton Thorne.
Even if
two quarterbacks.
This could be the LSU Bo Nix game.
That's right. Bo had lost his job to TJ Finley. TJ Finley was awful. We go back to Bo Nix, and the light had come on for Bo, right? Yep. He led Auburn to a win. But I think even if it's just a possession or two, there might be a time where Hank Brown has to come out of the game just to get a reset, just to get some face-to-face coaching, Lance, just to maybe watch it from the sideline for a possession where Peyton Thorne might play. I mean, that is now Peyton Thorne's role. That's what you have to do when you lose your starting job. You've got to keep your head in the game so that if Hank Brown's struggling a little bit, Peyton, we need you in there for one possession or two possessions. Hey, we're going back to Hank, but we got to let him watch this from the sideline.
I think it is a little different, though. I had this conversation with Forrester. I think it was on Monday. And the Bo Nix situation, like, you still knew Bo Nix had a lot of upside. I don't know where people are on Peyton Thorne.
Well, I think little T in the mybookie.ag chat room says, I'd rather watch Hank make freshman mistakes than watch Peyton Thorne make freshman mistakes.
Very good line, Taylor.
That's a great point. I've said this probably 8 times throughout our time together, 15 years. But our high school baseball coach flat out said that my senior year, first opening weekend, we dropped a couple of games, and he said basically,
I would rather go young.
If I'm going to lose, I'd rather lose young. So I'm sorry to you seniors. Either we got to turn this around, or I'm going to play the young guys. And at some point, you make that call. And that's what Hugh Freeze did, right?
Yeah.
If I'm going to have shaky quarterback play, I want to have shaky quarterback play that I've got 3 or 4 years left in him, and he's going to learn from his mistakes. I love this game this weekend. It's not to the prime time Tennessee Oklahoma level, but other than that, I mean, I know USC Michigan's great helmets, and I know we got some other games, but right after Tennessee Oklahoma is Arkansas Auburn for me this week, because you will learn so much about what's ahead for Auburn this weekend.
And I think it's just going to be an entertaining game. Like Charles says in the MyBookie.ag chat room, I think you're giving Arkansas defense too much credit. I don't think there's a good defense in this game. I think both teams, Lance, go up and
this game can be such a setup for next week. Can you imagine if Oklahoma pulls the upset and Auburn wins this game, and you've got a one-loss Auburn against an undefeated Oklahoma, who by that point is going to be knocking on the door of the top 10 if they were to beat Tennessee.
And Jordan-Hare.
And I'm not saying it's going to happen. It can go the other way. Auburn can lose at home. Oklahoma can get run off the field. And
That's
then
right.
one side of the state, you've got undefeated Alabama and Georgia. And then because right now, the state of Oklahoma, everybody, that is the epicenter of college football.
That's right. Yeah.
You've got 2 great games. And next week can be the exact same thing in the state of Alabama.
Yeah.
But Auburn needs to take care of business. Oklahoma needs to be really competitive.
And the games will be back-to-back. That Auburn-Oklahoma game, if this happens, that Auburn-Oklahoma game is reserved in that 2:30 window. So you would probably on ABC have undefeated Oklahoma against one-loss Auburn leading into undefeated Alabama, undefeated Georgia. That'd be a heck of a day.